Welcome to Slim Nation's One-on-One podcast with conversations featuring the host, James Slim Overton.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Slim Nations 101 podcast. I'm Slim Overton, of course, and got a return guest here. One of the first people I had on when I started the Slim Nations 101 podcast, even though I've been doing Portsmouth Coffee Talk for years. But made a return here, Wesley Vann, and I titled the show Conversation with Wes on the East. And we're on the East Coast, and I'm talking to Wes here. But anyway, a little play on words, kind of corny, but what can I say? I'm corny. But anyway, Wes, welcome. How you doing this morning?
Doing fine, man. One of the things I am amongst the living, and at this age, anytime you can say that you're in good spirits.
How, how
All
about that?
things considered, yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for agreeing to come back on and just have a conversation. And we're going to talk about one of the things. We're going to talk about some of the music that we grew up with and the influence it had on us. And but before we get there, we were talking, and a few weeks ago we had talked, and a good friend of ours we hadn't heard from in a while, and then we got some sad news that he had passed away, and
Hmm.
both of us uh,
Yeah.
experienced, had experienced him, at an early age in high school,
Mm.
and uh, back there when we talked about the Jack and Jills, he was at those Jack
Mhm.
and Jill parties years
Yeah.
ago, and
Yeah.
then at IC Norcom High School, and then he went on to Fisk. I went to Virginia Union. West went to Tuskegee, but we all kept in contact with each other, and we
Mhm.
all ended up coming back to the home we grew up in, and stayed in contact, and were good friends. And even when Wes moved to Georgia, uh, they kept in touch. I
Yeah.
see pictures of them coming down. And Wes, if you want to say, and of course I'm talking about Dr. O. We call him Dr. O. His name was Orion Willis. He was a
Hmm.
doctor of dentistry,
Hmm.
and one of the guys, I never saw him when his spirit wasn't up.
Right.
Even when you might have been down, you couldn't help but go up with him when he came around. He wouldn't let
Yeah.
you be down.
Yeah.
And which is why it's so shocking for us to lose someone that had such a positive outlook on life and was always up,
Always.
from what we saw.
Always.
You know.
Yes,
So Wes, I
even
know
when
you
you
want to say
didn't
a few
want to
words
be.
about Dr. O.
Yeah, even when you didn't want to be up, O could get you
Yeah.
up. He could do that. I was thinking since his death, I've been thinking, how far back we went. Because we came out of Mount Hermon,
Yeah.
and it was he and his brothers. He was the baby of the family, and he lived. I think they were right next door to William and Jackie Tyler, and the Tyler family. They were all right there, right beside each other. And for me, that goes back to when I was, let's see, if I can remember that little corridor. It's right there on Phillips Avenue. And it was the Tylers, the Willises stayed behind them. On the other side of the street was Patricia Morgan and her sister. And beside them were the Joiners, Howard Joyner and his sisters. And it just brought back his death for me has brought back so many memories of from when we were little, and we had a boys club. Mr. Sanders and Miss Sanders that lived over there, and they had stuff for us to do in Mount Hermon Temple. I was a member of that. My family was. And then when the Jack and Jill, like you were saying, when the Jack and Jill came up, go up to the Sahi Club.
Yeah,
Go to the Sahi Club, and you got dressed up at Christmas, that Christmas party. I wasn't Jack and Jill,
yeah.
but I had,
Neither was I, but I was
yeah,
at most of those parties. Yeah,
yeah, we got invited to all of them.
yeah,
We were there,
yeah.
and I know my cousins Carolyn and Diane and Fonda, Eugene. Trying to think who else. There's a couple of the other ones that were Jack and Jill, and we would get invited to those things. And by the end of that night, what was it? It ended about 11.
Yeah,
Like it
enough.
was late.
Yeah, it was late, but none of us were driving then. We.
Yes, right.
I think the early on, none of us were driving, so our parents had to take us home. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that was me. I
yeah,
had I'd get a date and had to get picked up.
yeah, you had to get picked up. The driver, your date, and you sitting in the front seat.
That's right. That's right. Got to think. Yeah, sure did. We sure did. We would do that. And but I tell you, one of my greatest memories of old though is I was in Tuskegee my freshman year, and I was living in dormitory B. And this is about second semester, not first semester, it was second semester. And I was leaving there. I was going downstairs, and my dorm elevators in most HBCUs were hard to find, and if they had any, they didn't work. I can't think of one of the dorms in my building on campus that had elevators during that time. And but I remember running down the stairs trying to get to lunch or get to dinner before it was over. And this guy and this girl were coming up. And I walked by and said, "Excuse me, I gotta go." And this guy says, "Hey, Wes, what's up, baby?" I stop, I turn around. I said, "R.M. Willis, what are you doing in Tuskegee?" And he introduced me to his friend. And I never forget her name, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And we laughed and talked, and of course, we went on campus. I found Darryl Green, of course, was there. We got together, and all the old Portsmouth boys. It wasn't but me and Darryl. We were the only ones from Portsmouth. And we got together and went there and just had a ball. That day I'll never forget. 30 years later, 30 years later, maybe 40 years. You remember I met Lynn, my wife Lynn Vaughn, and I came down to go to the 100 Black Men banquet gala that they have here in Atlanta every year. And this is about 2001, late 2000. No, this was in 2000, late 2000. So it was 14 years. Yeah, no, 30 years later. I'm right. And I meet this young lady. She's one of Lynn's best friends. One of her best friends. And we sitting there and we're talking, and she says, I look at her, and Lynn says, I say this all the time, everybody I see, you sure look familiar to me. I've seen you somewhere before. And come to find out, we started talking, and she was from East St. Louis, and she went to, I said, where'd you go to school? She said, I went to Fisk. She said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Portsmouth. And I had a good friend that went to Fisk. She said, Wes, I remember where I met you. You were coming in your dormitory. They had snuck me up the back door coming to see you, and we ran into each other with O on the back steps.
Wow.
I was like, oh my goodness.
30 or 40 years later.
40 years later. And Terry and I became, her name was Terry, is Terry. And we've been good friends. Even though she was in love with Lynn, but we've been good friends ever since. That's why I've always likened uh, Orion to a needle, a
Yeah.
seamstress and a tailor's needle. A needle is something that they use as their tool. that same needle can hurt you.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed.
It can get in your side,
Yeah.
and that's
And
why they got to wear a thimble doing it. That was O. O was loud. O was O.
yeah.
And you say, "Oh, here he come." I'm not in the mood, but you end up laughing and talking to him,
Oh
and that
yeah. You end up
yeah. So
regardless. And
I'd say he's like a needle because he could thread. He threaded so many people together over his lifetime. You
yeah.
know that's something I can say that he did. I like with Terry. I'm meeting her 30 years ago, and here we are on this day. We still good friends because he threaded us right there together. You look at all the people you've met through O, or people that met O through you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's amazing. It's a needle, that it's there. It only moves when you move it, but once you get it going and get it going good, it comes to be one beautiful garment. And that cloak that O put together in his lifetime,
Yeah.
it became a beautiful part of my life, and I'm so honored and so blessed to have met him and have known him over 60 years. I think it's been
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
over 60 years,
One thing I can say, Wes, he knew how we felt about him. It wasn't one of those things where I wish I had said this, I wish I had said that, because I expressed, certain things to him, especially when I was in the hospital and he was right there. And
Mm.
well, let me give a shout out to Moses Hardy, who is watching now.
Hey,
And
Moses.
Moses, we'll let you know more about it. He was asking, he didn't know about Dr. O, and he's
Hmm.
asking what happened. So we'll let you know more about what happened. And you mentioned Mount Hermon. I see Patricia Ricks is watching, and
Mm.
I can't remember what was her maiden name.
Who?
Patricia Ricks from
Oh,
Mount Hermon.
what was? Well, see, with three, there was Patricia Morgan.
Patricia Morgan. That's who
Mhm.
it is.
Is
Yeah.
that Patricia? I just talked about her.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
she's online watching. But anyway,
okay.
and briefly, I'll tell my story. You mentioned about the Jack and Jills back then, and or and it came out in my class '72. But even before that, in junior high school, we were both in the orchestra. We both played cello. He played for Miss Harding at HS SH Clark, and I
Hmm.
played for Miss Chapman at W.E. Waters.
Hmm.
And we ran into, they had those festivals and we would run into each other at those festivals. But one summer, they were having a summer orchestra class. And I think Patricia was in the orchestra as well. And they were having a summer thing at Clark. So I said, let me go over there and sort of refine my playing abilities. And I got there. They were so much, Oring was so much far advanced. I mean, he was playing like Yo Yo Man, and
Mm.
I was still working on the scales. And I said, I lasted one day. I said, no, I'm out of my league here. But eventually, I got better. But that particular time, everything he did, he went into it with zeal, and he was going to be the best in whatever he did. So he was tearing that cello up, and of course, on the tennis court, nobody could beat him in
Wow.
the city of
Wow.
Portsmouth. I mean, he was number one ranked in Portsmouth, and probably ranked pretty high up there
In the state.
in the state. And I was looking at an interview I did with him, or a discussion I had with him, just like this, not too long ago. I think it was over the summer, and he was talking about, we were talking about when we graduated. In the back of the yearbook, you would put what you think you might be. And I said, well, you're always thinking about dentistry. He said, I said, what did you put in the back of your yearbook? He said, he probably put tennis player. He said dentistry was secondary at that time because he
Mm.
wanted to be the next Arthur Ashe. But
Yeah.
anyway, I was glad that I had that conversation with him, and now it's forever. I forever have that particular conversation we had, and I looked at it the other day, and it's just like looking at it for the first time. So,
Yeah.
uh, rest
Yes.
in peace, my brother. You know, we're gonna miss you. A lot of people are gonna miss you.
Yeah,
It'll never be another O. Uh,
never.
uh, and one thing you can say, and everybody probably will agree with me, if you were anywhere and he was in the house or he was in the building, you knew he was there.
That's right.
It was not never one of those things you could say, "Oh, you were there. I didn't know you. I didn't see you." He's going.
You
If
know
he's
he was.
there, no matter how big the place is, he's gonna let you know he's there because he's gonna walk in the front. When they had those sunset Thursdays, every Thursday here in the city of Portsmouth, where everybody came to hear music, he was be right up on near the stage
Mm-hmm.
dancing. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody in Portsmouth knew he was there. But we just
Yeah,
had to talk a little bit about him, and we owe it uh, to him to acknowledge his friendship and what he meant to
yeah,
both of us and a
yeah,
lot of you people out there
yeah,
watching. O
yeah.
was O, and
O
everybody
was
knew
O.
that.
That's all you can say. O was O.
O was O.
Speaking of knowing where he is, we came here and he wanted to go to dinner. He was here for, I think it was when he came for the National Dental Convention and or the National Black Dental Convention. And I picked him up. We came out to the house, and a friend of ours that rents from us, we carried her, and O carried everybody out. And I went to park the car, and they went on in the restaurant. And it was hard. The place was packed. A lot was going. Atlanta's always got a lot going on for it. And I went in, and when I got to the reception desk to ask where they were seated and tell them I was looking for a party that I was with, I didn't have to even ask. I heard him way in the back, and I said, the lady said, "Can I help you?" I said, "No, I hear who I'm looking for," and they started laughing.
Not I see who I'm looking for. I
Yeah,
hear who I'm
I
looking
hear
for.
who I'm looking for. And I just followed the sound,
Yes.
and we had a ball. I used to say, "Oh, can you hear?" Because I can hear you. I have, at this age now, I've got trouble hearing a little bit, and I could hear all the time. Every time he come to town, or if he called on the phone, and he was one of those that would call on the phone for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just what you doing? Um, I'm, I don't know, man. I haven't gotten up yet.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what we got going on. He wanted to talk about Fonda Willis, and then I know he came down. I know when Hank Aaron died,
Mm.
he came down. Was an amazing person when it came to humanity.
Yeah.
O was one that he took care of a lot of people. Believe it or not, as brash and loud and funny and jovial as he was, he cared a lot about his fellow man.
Yeah. He did.
And just like you
I'm
were
definitely a
saying,
witness.
yeah, he
Mhm.
come and just sit by your bed for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. He
When
did that.
Hank Aaron died, he had one of Hank's daughters is a good friend of his, and he came and stayed with her, and made sure nobody was trying to take advantage of her and ran folks from around. Old was old. Old was old. And then when Mr. Fears got in his later years, old was the one that would go over and pick him up and take him out and let him enjoy his golden days. He said, take him to church.
Yeah.
Old was a churchgoer.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, was as brass as he was. Oh, believed in God. He believed in Christ. And he was a churchgoer. And he would take Mr. Fears every Sunday, go back and at least once a week go and pick him up. When Mr. Fears broke his ankle, was right there. And so it to like we said, to know O is to love O. I'm gonna tell you, and O gonna be O.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
there was a heart that was in that body, baby, that just resounded over everybody. It was
yeah. And I'm glad we got a chance to talk about for people who didn't know him or just
yeah,
saw the surface. Oh,
mhm,
now he was a guy with a big heart that he wore on his sleeve. The only thing I can say when you mentioned when he called you on the telephone, the challenge was getting the word in. And sometimes I would wait for. I said, "Well, I'll just sit here. Maybe he'll get tired, and then I can, throw a few sentences in there." But he never got tired.
I used to wonder if he called just to talk to himself.
Yeah, yeah, because you couldn't, you every once in a while you say, "Oh yeah, that's right,
That's right.
uh
That was, that was all you had to say.
huh."
Because no had the rest of the conversation.
And as far as I was concerned, you all just had a conversation, but you knew it was just him talking. But you know, that was when you saw his name come up, you knew what to expect. Okay, this is going to be a old conversation, but he's gonna cover about 15 subjects in a
In
few
5 minutes.
minutes.
In 5 minutes, I tell
Yeah,
you, that was something. That's old though. Old is
yeah,
old, baby.
yeah. So as we talked about, I mentioned about us being in the orchestra, and Wes, you were in the band, and
Mm-hmm.
one thing that did, I think it did for me, it gave me appreciation for different types of music. Even though we came up during an era in the '70s, they have this YouTube channel on now. It's called where people react to different music that they've never heard before, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of younger people up there that are, and it's crazy to think you sit there and watch people react to other stuff, but I'm amazed to sit there and watch young people listen to music from our era, and they say, they don't even know who the OJs are when it comes on. The OJs, I never heard of them, but we're
Ain't that
gonna listen to them, and then they start listening to them, and after they get into it, this one particular couple, they are jealous that they didn't grow up in that era. Their
okay?
parents or grandparents might have been in that era, and they might have heard some of the music, when their parents
Mm-hmm.
were playing it, but weren't paying attention. And they were saying it's just not that kind of music anymore. And this is
Mm-hmm.
coming from a younger generation, and I've seen it in several occasions with different reactors listening
Mm-hmm.
to our music. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
get back to being in the orchestra and being in the band gives you a deeper appreciation for music and different types of music. And in certain instances, if you lived in the city of Portsmouth back in the '70s, okay, we had WRAP, we had WHIH
That's
that
sir.
we listened to all week, but on
WFOD.
Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
on Sundays, all gospel. So you had to switch over to maybe WNHIH, WGH or something like that, which would be the
Yeah.
white station on
Mm,
Sundays. Then you had to listen to Rare Earth, and you
yeah.
know, so that expanded your
It did.
musical
It did.
choices that you made.
The God of the
But
Beast by Iron Butterfly.
yeah, yeah, these crazy names, Three Dog
Mhm.
Night, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yes.
But it was
Yeah.
all good. But it let us know there was other types of music out there, and we really. And by the time we got to college, it was wide open then.
Oh, well, oh, baby.
It
Baby.
was like
Mhm.
psychedelic time. It was some crazy stuff out there. But
Yeah.
think about Funkadelic and some of the
I
white
tell
groups
you.
like Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
we were exposed to. We were going through some.
Yes, Fragile. And
Yeah.
who was that other one? Now, I became a big Led Zeppelin fan.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. That Stairway to Heaven, I used to put
Oh
that
yeah.
on.
That was
I put
that
that
was
on at
classic.
a party and make the crowd be quiet.
Yeah.
That was my national anthem right there.
Yeah. Because that was a deep, deep, deep song, and
Oh,
a lot of those groups we were paid attention to and went to concerts back then in the
yes,
'70s. The '70s
yes.
just offered.
Santana.
Yeah, just offered a whole lot of music, but we still stuck to our roots.
Hmm.
The R&B still was basic, and I like jazz now too because, and
Yeah.
I can listen to a symphony orchestra
Oh, yeah.
because of my experience in the orchestra, and
Hmm.
appreciate because I always listen for that cello.
Yeah.
One of the I think the best sounds in the orchestra is that cello.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
so,
Oh,
but
yeah.
going back, music, really, coming up, really was a big part of our lives. Especially you talked about the high school days, and And if
Hmm.
you get with anybody and start talking about different songs, and different song might take you to a period in your life that
Hmm.
was important. You might hear "Let's Stay Together." And say, "Oh, that's when I was with Cynthia,"
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
somebody broke my heart, and that
Yes,
record was
indeed.
out.
Yeah. We, I was sitting there going back to take you really back. My start was because of Aunt Evelyn, Miss Sawyer, and my Aunt Bernice, and my mother. Growing up in the house with them, my father was in the Navy at the time, but
Hmm.
growing up in the house with them, they were playing that late 50s kind of music, and
Yeah,
in the early 60s, and my grandmother had Ruth Brown,
yeah,
but yeah, Ruth Brown was kind of like the Fantasia of that period.
yeah.
If you want to compare, had so she had them songs out of Portsmouth to sing, and I sit there and listen to them. I remember my very first concert that I went to. It was at Sunset Lake, and
With the
yeah, my
yeah,
mother made me.
you and a couple of lizards.
Yes, they made me call to find out how much the tickets were, and it was going to be James Brown and this little blind guy called Little Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he was the opening act, and I went on in there, and it was I called it, I rehearsed it. I wanted to know how much were the tickets for the adults and how much were the tickets for the children. I get on the phone. The lady answers. I'm about 6 years old, maybe a little older. No, no, about six. I get on the phone and I say, "Hello, how much are the tickets for the grown folks?" I forgot how to say adults. I couldn't remember. But the tickets were 50 cents for adults
Yeah.
and
To see James Brown and Stevie Wonder.
25 cents for children. And to see James Brown, and they were talking about who these tickets is high.
Yeah. That's a gallon of gas right there, but
Yes, sir. Couple gas shit for that household, like going to see Beyonce today, man. 50 cent. Because
yeah.
I gather they were making what, $15 a week, something like that.
Look, I remember my
If
daddy
that
was
was.
telling me that he was before he went to law school, he was educated. He was a teacher, and then he was a principal. And
Mm-hmm.
and even principal salary, he was making like $30 a month
Mm,
as a principal, which
mm,
is why he got fired because he started protesting about equal pay. And
mm-hmm.
then they said, "You out of here." He said, "Okay, I'll go to law school and come
Yeah,
back
I'm gonna
and
come.
fight y'all a different way."
That's right.
And that's exactly what he did. But I digress. But you mentioned about the money then. But Sunset Lake must have been on the children's circuit because I remember seeing I've seen old posters of the talent that came through that Ike
It
and
was,
Tina Turner
yes, indeed.
review.
Now they were
And
big headline when they came. It was packed.
yeah,
It was packed, baby. Yeah, they had great.
so that experience in the music started real early. And
Mm-hmm.
what would high school be without those songs? I don't think kids slow dance anymore. They don't get that close anymore to
They don't.
dance.
They don't. They don't. I got four grandchildren. Now, I'll say this about them. They will. They like vinyl. The oldest two.
Mm,
So they like. We got them Bluetooth turntable, so they could listen to their vinyl. As a matter of fact, I got one here now because then still, we'll go out to a banquet or hanging out and come home late and put on some music, put them
yeah,
old
yeah.
albums on.
I I got just about all my vinyl right here
Yeah, yeah, we got
and a turntable.
Oh yeah, got that turn. That's what I'm talking about.
I
We
like
play.
to hear that scratching noise at the
Ah,
beginning of each record.
that means you get ready to hear some music that you play. That scratching noise meant something.
Yeah, you know
You know,
it was about to be popping then, you know.
about to be popping because you knew that was something you done. I know it in my household. That was something my mama and them done played for a minute. You know that they went back and forth, especially on them 45s. You know, Gladys Knight, a big midnight train to Georgia. Oh my God,
Yeah.
we talking good music. Now, Tuskegee, when we were talking about now in the Garden of Vita, I think we were seniors in high school. I was a senior when that came out on the radio. And you're right. When we had to, if you either on Sundays on WHIH or WRAP, you either had to listen to gospel or you went to WNOR,
Yeah.
WGH.
WGH.
WGH was Moses put that on there.
Yeah, Moses,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Thanks,
and
Moses.
it was a couple other stations, but the one I loved because as a little boy, our Evelyn sang opera.
Mm.
And so I got into that because of her. But what would happen, I would go to the library. And now before integration, remember we had the colored library. You remember that one?
Yeah, yeah,
And we could go in there, but the turntable didn't work in there all the time, and they didn't have many of the classicals. When they integrated, I'll never forget this. I can't remember her name. She was one of the white librarians there. She would let me go downstairs in the basement of that
mm,
library, and you could sit there. And that's how I got into Tchaikovsky. That's how what was that? Peter and the Wolf for
yeah.
four.
Yeah, I used to go to the library and check out symphony music, and
Yeah,
especially I would look
yeah,
for music featured the cello.
yeah.
But I never went down. I brought mine home
Well, see,
and listened to
Bernice
it.
and I Devlin were young. When they got home, I couldn't get to the turntable, so I just
Yeah, they playing
I
Sam
listened
Cooke
to it.
and all that. You couldn't get
Yeah,
to.
man, can you imagine? Oh my God, we would walk from Mount Hermon to the new library when they built that new one, and would go in there and stay all day on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I'd stay all day. Now, it was a couple motives going on up in there now. You
yeah.
could see the little girls going in
Oh
there.
yeah, that was the meeting place.
That was the meeting
During
place
I could always get the car
to go to
to
the
say
library.
I'm going to the library. I got a book report to do, and I need to do a decimal system. And it was a pure date. I already had the book report done.
Yeah, yes, sir. You
It
sit
was a
in that
pure date.
library and sit beside each other.
Yeah,
And
get in
see,
there. The library crowded.
oh yeah, see that what I would do. See, my game was music, and I said, look, why don't you come on downstairs and we can listen to some of these new. There's oh God, the onlyest monk,
Yeah, yeah,
the onlyest monk. Or we would listen to. I loved I was a big fan of the Boston Pops,
yeah.
and then they were one of the originals. Arthur Fiedler and the Boston Pops, Leonard Bernstein, and
I'm just gonna say that I used to watch Leonard Bernstein every year he would come on TV and have one of
the
those big
child's thing
concerts.
he did.
Yeah, hair be all over the place, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They did Peter and the Wolf and explained what each instrument was, and
yeah,
I'd go to the library and get that and listen to it. Oh my God! Oh, baby, that's the problem, Slim. They cut the budget.
yeah,
I'm gonna blame somebody for this. They cut the budget, and the first things they took out was music and fine arts.
yeah. Which
They
is
don't know.
unfortunate.
Yeah, what happened with that was now they kept football, basketball.
Oh yeah, that's the moneymaker.
Yeah, they kept football, basketball, but that music and the fine arts gave us a foundation. It gave us a place to go in our minds, especially, when we got in college, we would sit down, you roll a joint, and you put on Stanley Clark.
We can say that now. The statute of limitations. Or
It's
it's
over.
legal now.
Yeah,
It's legal now anyway. But
yeah,
it,
but
it,
we
it
would sit in the dorm and,
yeah,
and
Stanley Clark and George Duke and
then look, we take the albums and
Harvey Mason.
lyrics. You remember Stevie Wonder would put the lyrics on
Oh
his
yeah, yeah.
talking book, and I'm sitting there and I'm reading what he's saying, and we would get into a conversation about it.
No,
Just
oh,
saying,
tell me about them deep conversations after a joint.
woo, I,
Oh man, we were authorities of music.
yeah, and we knew who played
Oh
with
yeah,
who.
like
You know,
the note he played right there. The
yeah,
meaning
yeah.
of that note
Now
is
the
is
instruments,
is rooted in Africa, and it came from Africa. I mean, we will get real deep.
oh, we go deep.
During those times.
Now Stanley Clark when he
Yeah,
was with Weather Report. We
weather
get into
report.
that, yeah. And you had George Duke, it was Stanley Clark, Stanley Turrentine, and Naruto, and
Mhm.
all of them would get together. Now he did turn a corner on it. Listen to this piece, right? I mean, we would go into it. The music they got today, Slim, you can barely. First of all, they're using what they call it when they take our music and put it
Sample
put it as the base of theirs, and then they put the rap on
the
top
auto
of our
tune
music.
and stuff like.
Yeah, yeah, whatever they call it, but they still using our music
Yeah,
to
and
this day.
I told you about these people, the young people that be reacting to the '70s and the late '60s music.
Yeah.
And one of the things they noticed, she said, wow, these are pure singers. You know,
Mhm.
when they see the videos, the old videos, or even if they just listening to the album, they don't hear all that auto tune. They hear the pure singing. These people were just singing into the mic. You know,
Mhm.
live, and was no distortion, no fixing up their voices or adding anything to it to make it sound better. These were singers when they just had to get on stage and just sing. They didn't
Mhm.
have nothing but a mic and the instruments behind them.
That's right. And to me, you can't. You
Kind of hard to duplicate that.
Yeah,
That's
you
kind
you can't. But you remember in our day, and I played with many, 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 many different little groups playing trumpet around
of.
town, and even had the opportunity to do a little side thing with the Commodores for a minute. And I played jazz and concert at Tuskegee in their band. But when you got into, if I was playing, I played this song called "Moaning" by Quincy Jones, and I was soloist on it. I can't understand how these kids now they'll cut somebody will cut one piece in New York, the other one will be in Los Angeles and cut their piece over there. Somebody will be in Atlanta, and then the engineers take the different pieces and put it together, and they call that music. I got to be with you. If you and I in a room together and
Hmm.
and you going off on the beat, I hear you wailing on the cello, and I'm feeling you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's like
right there with you.
you improvise.
Yeah. So when I come in, I say, I see where he at. I'm gonna hit it right there. I
Yeah.
can't do that in LA. I don't know why these kids think that that's good music. That they just putting a score together. That's all you do it.
Well,
Even
and they think it's good music because that's all they know, really, and that's why it's so important that these people. I hate to keep bringing this up, but these people that's going back and listening to this music that was made before they were born and
Mhm.
realizing, you know, how good music was back then. And they talk about, and if they see videos of Soul Train, they say, wow, that era. I'm jealous. I wish I was there. Y'all just look like y'all had nobody dances like that
Nope,
anymore. It
nope.
you know, uh, and not taking anything from line dancing. That's a good participation, but you
Yeah,
know, that's the main thing. You know, being able to line dance. But
yeah, that's their
you know,
big thing because I don't have to talk to you.
yeah, we could get creative. I mean, especially and you had to keep up. You couldn't be doing the outdated dances. If the turtle came out,
Mm, the alligator.
you had to do
Oh,
that. Or
you know,
of course, the jerk.
yeah, yeah. Then the monkey.
Yeah,
But the music, our
mashed
music
potatoes.
was the kind of music that made you want to get up and dance.
Yeah,
Oh, whoa. When you hear one song, you hear remember that show, Name That Tune?
yeah,
You hear that one note, baby. You say, oh,
yeah.
that's Gladys. Gotta
I can
go.
name that tune in 3 notes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But like Moses said, that music gave us some discipline.
Yes, it did.
It gave us discipline because you had to, we didn't have a lot of what's that pill called for people with ADD and ADHD. We didn't have a lot of stuff like that. You got your ass whipped, or if you were listening to our music, gave us some foundation too, because you had to
Look,
sit there. You
and
had what you were waiting to hear from in the music that was going on. So I don't know, man. Today's stuff is so and recent music, Sexy Red and and
I don't see the
Cardi
talent,
B,
but I mean,
they
God
done
bless them.
got
They're
so
making the
funky
money, they're
now.
making the
It's
bucks, but
yes.
it's not something I would run to the store and get. And
No,
I
no, it's
remember in my parents, we used to get those 45s from Mid City, and
mhm.
it was hard to keep up with James Brown because it seemed like he was putting out a 45 every week.
Oh yeah, oh
And
yeah.
so I brought a record home and was playing it, and he said, "Make it funky." My
Hmm.
parents went off. They thought that
Yeah,
word it was
it was too close,
too close for them.
too
And then
close.
they had to get used to it because after he started that, everybody was doing the funk. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they Parliament Funkadelic when they
yeah,
came out. They sitting there talking about. We had them in Tuskegee for homecoming. I'll never forget it. And we see in Tuskegee, we had an advantage. 20 miles down the road or down 85 was Auburn University.
mm,
So we exchanged concerts. We'd have Parliament Funkadelics, Ramsey Lewis. We had Ramsey Lewis. We had a jazz series at Tuskegee. We had people like Ramsey Lewis there, Stanley Clark. We had Rufus and Chaka Khan. I got a story about that.
yeah. And look, that's one thing about the HBCUs, homecomings. I mean, you never know who would show up at your homecoming. I mean,
Mm,
those guys didn't mind showing up in big names or people when they were just starting out. I remember Gil Scott Heron came to
mm,
the Union, and he was
mm.
just starting out, but not many people knew of him. And he gave a free concert in our gym, and not many people were there. But I was, and then later on, the spoken word in the '70s got really kind of popular.
Yeah,
Before rap,
yeah,
spoken word was out there, all those spoken word artists had a message.
mm-hmm.
What they were saying meant something.
It,
And even
it's,
Funkadelic, as crazy as their music was, if
mm-hmm.
you go back and listen to some of their music, they were kind of deep in
Yes,
some
yes.
of the stuff. It's just everything around them, the music and the sounds they made were crazy to get your attention. But some of the words, you
Yeah,
know,
our music was positive. Our music gave us hope. You know, James Brown doing that. See, and of course, we came up during the civil rights era, and so we had we were coming up, and we were starting to be proud to be black.
oh yeah, the '70s was awareness of our blackness, and
Hmm.
I mean, even with a president like Nixon, I remember sitting in the dorm watching TV, watching Nixon saying he wasn't a crook,
Yeah,
nose running,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. I'm glad to be black. If this what it takes, if this what it
This
takes
is
to
what
be
it takes.
looks like to be a white president, when you got
Yeah,
to explain I'm not a crook and your nose running and
yeah.
you know,
I remember
I'm
that,
black
man.
and I'm proud, brother.
Parliament fucking Dallas was out there. Gil Scott Heron. Oh my God.
Oh man,
Oh
he was
my
he
God.
was he was
Oh.
a poet, man.
And then
And he was tearing them up with his spoken word, and I call it spoken word, but the music he put out, uh, the, the revolution will not be televised,
yes,
and
yes, yeah.
and we talking about Nixon and the presidents, and you
Tricky.
know, yeah, some
hmm
some some heavy stuff.
And you remember, I tell you what, I've recently, about, maybe
The,
4 years
the, the
ago.
last poets. Oh man,
That's where I'm going. I had the
you remember that song
opportunity.
and party and
Mm,
I'm not gonna say it now because I see Robert Earls is online here, Reverend Earls. So I'm not gonna use that kind of French out of respect for the good Reverend there. But
oh, we had the last poets about Lynn and I went to see them about 4 years ago. And when I heard they were coming to Atlanta, I
oh
got
yeah, that's right. I saw some. They're still out there. They
they still together, man.
older guys, and they
Yeah,
still
they old, but they still got that. Now you want to hear? I told the kids, y'all want to hear some rap? Go and listen to the last poets, baby.
yeah. Oh
Okay,
man, the
go and
words.
listen to Black Day is coming. Black Day is here.
Yeah.
Woo! And they was hitting, and everybody in the crowd that's
Oh, okay.
about our
I,
age.
I Robert Earls. Okay, that's Robert Earls Jr. Okay, so he said we fine. We can say what we want to say, but don't want to get any Facebook or YouTube strikes. So we're
Yeah.
live on Facebook and YouTube because I
Okay.
was going to play some music, but on social media you get those trademark strikes if you
Oh yeah.
play
Oh
something that you don't have permission to play. But I I,
yeah.
I thought I said I'm gonna play some of those old records. Then I thought about oops, we
Yeah.
live on Facebook
Yeah.
and YouTube right now, so
Yeah.
they would be throwing those strikes at me left and right.
Oh yeah.
Beyonce
Yeah.
Beyonce want to get paid.
Beyonce want that money. Now we had entertainers. We had Gladys Knight and the Pips that were out there. You had Ray Charles. Oh baby! Now Ray Charles was before us, but he carried a heavy tune with him. Nat King Cole.
Yeah,
That was a little boy. You remember he had that little 15-minute show on Sunday afternoon that came.
yeah.
You know, so
Well,
Ruth
it was
Brown.
and we going back and forth, but I remember all these shows they used to have at the Scope, and like we could go to the Scope and see 5 or 6 groups on that one night.
Yeah. But the Jazz Festival, Hampton, the original Hampton Jazz
Oh
Festival.
yeah, that
Oh,
started on the campus of
oh,
Hampton Institute.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, 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 it was all jazz
I was,
because
yeah. Oh, we
I,
did.
either if I'm going to a jazz concert, I want to see jazz.
You're
If
right.
I'm going to R&B or pop or whatever, that's what I want to see.
That's what I
And
was.
then after a while, it got to the point where it was more because they had to sell tickets. I guess it was more
Yeah.
R&B at the jazz concert. Now, the one they have down here now in Norfolk, in the end of July on the waterfront, that's all jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 2 days.
I'd like to come up there for that. Let me know when that comes. When that's
Yeah,
coming.
I'll let you know in advance so you can get your
And
tickets. Because
cause y'all had one of my boys. You had Lionel Richie there one year, and I said, man,
yeah,
I was home. I would show off for sure.
yeah. Hey,
But
homie.
but
But look,
that Hampton
Wes, I
Jazz
was talking
Festival.
about. I had an interview with Calvin Davenport. He was one of the band directors at IC Norcom. He came after Hainsworth, and Hainsworth came after Fizz.
Mm-hmm.
But he went to Norcom and went away to college. Where did he go? Tennessee State, I believe. And he came back and was the band director at Norcom for about 10 years. And I was talking to him on an interview like this, and we had about a two-parter show. And I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about the 71 band that you were a part of. I think you were
Yeah,
the drum major then.
yeah, I was. I was drum major then.
And but that song that y'all did, "Spinning Wheel,"
Oh, mm-hmm.
and just playing that song. That was by what? Who was that by? Rare Earth? No, but anyway, that song. But the routine that y'all had with that,
Oh yeah, and the wheel
where
spin.
if you sitting up in the stands at Frank D. Lawrence Stadium, you could actually see a spinning wheel. The way
Yeah,
y'all, I
yeah.
don't know who did that routine. Was it
That was Emery. Mr.
Emery Fields?
Fields,
Yeah,
he would sit there. Mr. Fields would sit there and design them things. It was amazing to watch. And he learned it from Paul Rivelli, who was band director of Michigan State.
yeah. He talked about that when we interviewed him.
Yeah,
That
he
he went
learned.
there,
Yeah, yes,
and
indeed.
brought back
He,
some things.
he required us. See, this is why we got to get these education systems, these school systems, to bring the fine arts back again.
Right.
Because of band, I was exposed to so many different colleges. My world became larger because we were required on Saturdays to watch college football.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
this is when media before advertising became so big that they started advertising
yeah.
everywhere.
When they were actually showing the halftimes.
Yeah, yeah, and they
Yeah.
used to show the halftime shows, and you would want to see Purdue and Michigan State or Ohio State Buckeye band. They were huge. They take over a field, or University of Michigan, or UCLA, and they had all these halftime shows with these moving parts that was going on. And it took some mathematics and understanding to even figure it out. But we could use the music, see,
Hmm.
and of that period and play it and understand what was going on with it. It was spectacular. I tell you what, we played the 1812 overture at one of the festivals one year. I'll never forget.
Wow.
Our lineup that year was this was the last year that they started allowing all the other bands to come and watch each band as they perform. We did Commando March was our opening piece. Then we went into Dmitri Shostakovich's Festive Overture. And after that, we followed it up with 1812.
Nobody was playing that kind of music at the festival.
We did.
No, I'm just saying
Yeah.
nobody else. I should have said else because
Yeah.
it was mostly, I don't know what else, but nobody was playing
That was
that
that
heavy of
grade
music.
six music. That was
The
that
overtures and things like
yeah,
that.
it wasn't no bigger than that. But what happened in doing rehearsals and everything, Mr. Fears gave us the history of what was going on during the period that the 1812 overture was written and what was going on and the
So you
background.
just weren't playing music. You knew
You knew.
the background
Yeah,
or
and then different pieces. He stopped. He said, "Now, right here, here's where the soldiers are getting out their beds
yeah,
and telling their children and their wives that they gotta go." And this,
because band was
yeah,
a class.
yes, yes, and the hymn that is going on. So when we got to the festival, I'll never forget this. We had gotten so entrenched and we could actually see the war going on. We could actually hear the babies crying when father was walking out to go and fight the war. That man, when we got to them parts, you could see tears running down these Cecilia Whitehead and everybody's eyes had tears
Yeah,
because we were into it.
y'all were
When we
feeling it.
finished that piece, and Mr. Fierce had Donald Boston shooting that 12 gauge shotgun off.
Oh
Boom,
wow.
baby. When we finished that, the place erupted.
Yeah, that's what Moses Hardy said he was there and said to turn the place out,
Yes, sir. Yes,
because
sir.
nobody have seen anything like that at a festival. And that's a powerful piece of music there,
Mhm.
for a high school band to be playing. He said Sonia
Woo.
Watts was playing the chimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And we
Hello, Mayor Glover. How you doing?
and now I could Sonya, she would, God bless her, she would tear them child and just roll through that thing, baby. And we were
Mm.
so, but see, that's what music did. So those of us that became musicians out of
We
that,
should have videos of that
oh
now.
God, wouldn't that have been something?
Yeah.
And that's a memory. We, as the kids say today, we made memories with that.
Yeah. But you talking about the Norcom band, the commitment was there and had to be there for all of y'all to be so good. I can remember during the summer when y'all would be practicing. A thing was to come and watch y'all practice.
Yes,
That was entertaining in itself. To
big
come
crowds.
ride up to the school, park our car, sit on the hood, and watch y'all practice. Now the band had to be good. If you go, it was a thing to go watch the Norcom band practice.
Yes.
And then you got the bonus of seeing the actual performance. But the practices were entertaining.
Yeah, it was. I can remember. You're exactly right. When I lived in Mount Hermon before I moved to Cavalier Manor, and I'm talking elementary school, Jesse Debs, Wilson Everett, Michael Reed, Michael Goodrich, you
Mm,
know, we would all get together, and they would come down the other end of Mount Hermon, going to Mount Vernon Avenue, going towards and Wool Avenue, going towards Norcom, and I jumped right in there. And you're right, Slim. We would sit there. It was just as entertaining for us to sit there and watch practice as it was to go to the halftime show. When you went to the halftime show as a kid, when you went to the football game, you already knew what it was going to be. And you say, watch this now, watch this. He going to do this. Watch
yeah,
R.C.
yeah,
Whitfield. Watch R.C. Whitfield. He going to turn this thing out.
yeah. But
And
but they were in the uniform then. Yeah,
yes, sir. And it
yeah.
was a pretty thing to watch.
Favorite thing to watch.
Because Mr.
And my experience, and I think I told you this before, and you might have been there at that time, but it was I think I was in the 8th grade at W. Waters. Remember I said Miss Chapman, she was the orchestra director at Waters and at Norcom. She would leave
Mhm.
Waters and go. So one year, the orchestra and the Norcom orchestra and the band was going to play a Christmas concert together.
Mhm.
So she brought members from the junior high school, Waters, and combined them with the Norcom orchestra. And we played with the great, I was so, I was kind of starstruck
Mhm.
because these guys I'd seen marching and here we are playing with them. And I can remember we were down on the front, get ready to play, and the students came in, and I overheard one of the guys say, "Oh man, the orchestra, man, I can't stand that little screeching noise." And I said, "Oh man!" But once we started playing, talk about turning the place out. It was like Christmas. I think we started out playing West Side Story,
Mhm.
and then we ended up playing some Christmas music. But the students went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The band, of course, the band helped out, but to see the strings and the band together like that, and
Mhm.
we had our parts, and we turned that out. And you might have, no, you might not. Well, if you were there, you had to be a freshman. Were you in the band the whole time you were at
Yeah, I
Norfolk?
was. My whole from what was that, 67 to 71. I was in
Okay,
band the whole time.
so and another point,
I
Clark's
remember that
band.
I got selected to play with that group. They didn't take the whole band. They had
Oh, okay,
pieces.
yeah.
Yeah, I was in pieces of that. Where was Miss Hardy? Had they taken her to
I don't
Maryland?
know. I just know that Miss Hardy was always at Clark, I believe. I
Mm,
mean, and she might have moved on, but the orchestra teacher at Waters was the orchestra teacher at Norcom. I don't know
mhm.
why Miss Hardy wasn't there, but at
Because
that
Miss
time,
Hardy had my old girlfriend,
Mhm.
Marilyn Gatlin. You remember her?
Yeah, she was in the orchestra with me at
Yeah,
Waters.
that's right. That's right. And
Hmm.
she took private lessons under Mr. Singletary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she said I used to on Saturdays I would drive her over there, drop her off and pick her up, or sit there and wait for her while she did her private lessons,
Yeah. Well,
Uh
that's something we're missing now. You talk about the finance, the funds have gone down. One of the what made Norcom so great, you had you had S.H. Clark that had a band that was just as good. So
oh
by the
yeah,
time those people moved on to IC Norcom, they already knew.
they
The
were
way it
ready.
is now, they get to Norcom and they just learning
You're
how to
right.
play,
They
or
brand
the interest is not there. That's why the bands are so much smaller. But you don't have any of these schools now feeding the high schools.
who was the band director before Mr. Mallory?
Excuse me.
Oh my God. And he ran for city council of Chesapeake. He was bad. They put an album out. S.H. Clark had an album. They
I
put out.
didn't know they had an album. I know Norcom did.
S.H. Clark had an album. Norcom had it. I got that. Now I'm gonna go get it. It's in Portsmouth. I'm gonna go get it and bring it up here before I never gets rid of them. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
get that album out of there, and I'm gonna redo it on what they say, put it online or whatever it is. But
Yeah,
Mr.
S.H. Clark was just as good and had just as many
Jenkins,
people.
Charles Jenkins.
Yeah, yeah.
Charles Jenkins, he was band director. But during that period, you had Charles Jenkins over there with S.H.
Poochie.
Clark. And matter of fact, that by that time I got there, he was gone, and
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Mallory
Because
took
he ended
over.
up being when I was at Waters and when Waters first opened, Kerry was the principal and Jenkins was the vice principal,
Right, that's right,
assistant principal.
that's right,
So he had left, the music teaching to
that's
go
right.
up into administration.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Poochie took over at Clark.
Mm-hmm.
When they call him Poochie, I can't remember his real name, but
Poochie Mallory,
had
James
the
R.
bad
Mallory.
Mallory, right? Had the bad feet.
Yeah, he dated my mother for a minute.
Oh, okay. He almost became your father.
Yes, it was rough, man. It was rough.
Wes, I'm your father.
That was rough. That was rough.
That would have been a mess.
That was a rough part in my life right there.
Yeah. You come home, Poochie sitting in the living
Oh
room. Oh
God,
man.
do I had to see you again? Oh
Hey,
Jesus.
that's another story all together. Where we
All
might have to have
together, man. Oh
a therapist, clinician up here with
yeah,
us
Jesus.
to
And we
help
had
you out
moved
on
to
that one.
Atlanta by that time. Oh, I remember being under him, and 1 year, that 1 year I spent that clock because that was an integration that kicked in. We spent our seventh grade at um, all of us spent our seventh grade at the elementary school that you went in.
Hmm.
The elementary school used to go from first through six. That was Mount Herman was first through six. Then you had the seventh and eighth grade, which made to me it made sense. Now
Hmm.
that I look back at it, have junior high schools that went from the seventh to the eighth grade, and then your high school ninth through 12th. Well, they've changed that whole layout. Somebody felt that didn't work, but it did because them seventh and eighth graders are crazy
Yeah.
because and it's not on purpose. They just have so much going on in their minds and in their physical body. The body is changing.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a
Things
change.
are really changing then,
Yeah, the
and
girls are.
so we needed that.
Yeah, and so that
That junior high school spirit period. We needed that before we got to high school. By the time we
yeah,
got to high school, we were kind of settled down a little bit, and
yeah,
then it was a whole new adventure, so
yeah.
to
You
speak.
went from being a big fish in a little bowl to being a little fish in the big bowl in the ninth
Yeah,
grade. So
yeah,
you
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 had to start all over
had to
again.
start. You had to earn your way again.
Same like going to college. You had to start
Yeah,
all over again.
yeah, yeah. Start all, and that's life.
Yeah,
Somebody wrote a song about that. But that's just who wrote that song. It's called that's the title of it. That's life. and that's what you did. You get up to a point, and then you say, okay, I got new trades. Now I got to go. I'm a rookie all over again. Let me start this, and it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
and you just said something important about somebody wrote a song about that, just what you were talking about. And as
Mhm.
we were talking about music today, that's why it was so important. A lot of songs or songwriters that were really good songwriters expressed a lot of the things that some of us were feeling at the time. It was
Mhm.
definitely good for somebody if you were trying to talk a girl uh, into whatever you want. You know, you just use those words from a song, baby. You know,
uh,
baby, I love you.
yeah.
And or just put the record on.
Hmm.
Let Marvin Gaye say it for you.
That them say it for you. WHIH had Quiet Storm. That
Yeah,
was at
yeah.
WRAP. One of those had the Quiet Storm with ooh, I can see him with the Third Baptist. Had a deep voice.
It
Uh,
was.
he had a very deep voice. What was his
Ah,
name?
yeah, I can't think of him there.
He died early too. They part of that grown group. That was our Nevlin and all them group. They all hung together. Oh my God. Anyway, they did that. The original Quiet Storm came out of Norfolk, man, and Sunday was courting day
Yeah, yeah.
when we were growing up.
Oh yeah,
You ain't go to your girlfriend's house and spend the night. You didn't like they do today. You didn't during school nights. You could talk on the phone, but you didn't have much because you ain't have but one phone in the house anyway.
yeah.
So you weren't gonna tie that phone up
You're
because
gonna tie that phone up.
coming
Yeah,
in. So Saturday you had chores to do, and then in the afternoon, as a teenager, if you were driving, you could go to the beach. You could
yeah.
go
So
to a
Saturday
movie.
you had to make that little bit of money,
Yeah, to
to
go
go
out
to the
there,
movies.
you had to earn it. Even if you were home, you had to earn that money
Yeah,
to go out.
won't gonna just give it to you.
No,
Yeah,
we had to earn that, baby. We
yeah.
had to
You
earn
gonna have to,
that. And but the music on Sunday afternoon, you sit there in the living room, and it was always that big old. I know at Maryland's house, it was that big old stereo,
yeah,
and it was uh, it was one of those that the big console, and we put on some albums that we had, or we just sit there and listen to the radio, baby. And you talk
yeah.
about woo, woo.
Or you might get a chance to call in and make a dedication.
Yes, 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 sir.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and
Nick
it
Carr,
all
that was his
boils
name.
down to what we were talking about today. Music was a big part of us growing up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we use it to calm us down when we were alone and sad. There
Mm,
was a song that fit that. When we were happy, it was a song that fit that. When we wanted to party, it was a song for that.
mm-hmm.
And if we wanted to get close to our significant other, it was a song for that.
Known for that. Yes, sir.
So
That's Barry White. Put that Barry White on, baby.
yeah, oh man,
That was a baby maker
just
right there.
sure you're right.
That's right.
Oh,
Him,
oh,
the
oh,
master storyteller too.
yeah, and put
And
on a Temptation record and let Melvin Franklin.
yeah, Moses talk about that. Moses got down here, the master storyteller.
Yeah,
That was Sunday. Or you sit in the car and go park around the lake, Crystal Lake. Put that music on, baby. Shit, what you think we came out here for?
yeah. That's one of those times where you didn't make quite that much money that Saturday before, so
Mm-mm,
you
mm-mm.
just rode around.
And then in the summertime, when we got a chance to really get jobs in the summer, I know I spent all mine going to the movies and putting gas in the car, going to the beach,
Yeah,
and
City
because
Pop.
yeah, City Park, we did a lot, man. We these kids nowadays at 15, 16, 17 years. First of all, they ain't got no driver's license.
Yeah.
which I'm yet to even gather, because that was the girls have theirs, but the guys won't get driver's license. I don't know. I guess it ain't cool. And but I wanted mine when I turned
Oh
15.
man, that was the first. Well, we had driver's ed in school then, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Now your group had driver's ed.
yeah.
Believe it or not, it started. I taught it
I
with.
taught it. I taught it as well.
Were you at Norcom?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that me and you under we had them big old Chevrolets.
Yeah, and
Big
the
old
Volkswagen.
badass Chevrolet. Had a fleet of them.
We had the Chevrolets and the Volkswagens. And my senior year, I didn't have to. You had to. I didn't have to take but 4 classes, so I had 2 study halls.
Mm-hmm.
One study hall, I worked in the library. I said, "This is gonna be a piece of cake." But
Mm-hmm.
I never worked so hard in my life. That lady in the library, I can't think of her name, but she had a lot of moles on her face.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
And she said, "Well, if you're gonna be in here, you're gonna work." And
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it now, but I said, "Oh man!" So the second, because I had to stay at school all day. Well, we had to do anyway. The second free period I had, because I had basketball practice, so I had to be in school. Coach Moody
Mm-hmm.
said, "Come on." I had already taken driver's ed. Said, "Just get in the car and just drive around with some of the people." So that's what I did. And one day we were going back to park the car, and the girl was driving, ran into the building. And I had my foot on the brake, but
Uh-huh.
it,
That
it
second break.
it caught me off guard. I saw she wasn't doing so well. I said, "Look, pull over, and I'll take it back."
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the way. She pulled over, bam.
So see, no, Charlie Boomer. I shouldn't be calling names, but when I was teaching it, because matter of fact, I already had my license when I was 15 and 8 months. So Coach
Oh
Moody,
yeah. Well, I mean, we couldn't wait 15 to 8 months. You get your learner's permit,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
day you turn 16, you going down there to take that test.
No, I got my. You can get your learner's permit at 15,
15.
and then
I thought
you,
it was 15 to 8 months.
that was the license. You can actually get your license at
Oh, okay.
15 and 8 months. I went. It was so. I mean, I was sitting there counting them days on the calendar. At 8 months. Okay, we got 15, 7 months and 29 days. One more day, and next day I'm going to get it. It was a Monday. We didn't got my license, but my insurance. That's when your family had to struggle to pay the car insurance, because if it was a boy, the insurance was going to be
Way up there.
about $200 a year. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money. But uh if you took driver's ed,
You got a break.
dropped it to about 125.
Hmm.
Now girls, it didn't increase for them, but it did for boys during that time, because they felt teenage boys were crazy.
Yeah.
Teenage girls were stable. They knew and I still believe that's true.
Yeah. They gonna stop at the stoplights, and they're not gonna show off. Then we had to show off. We had to kick wheels, and
Yeah,
you
oh
know.
yeah. We had to be hard. Now today's girls, I don't know, baby.
No,
Those
that's a
girls,
little different, man.
yeah, they out
I
there
see
doing
those girls be
donuts,
passing me on the
especially doing
highway, and
donuts. Yeah, they doing donuts in the intersections down here in Atlanta. I'm like, you look, well, that's a girl. Jesus Christ. So it's I got a granddaughter that's she loves that stuff. She loves it so much now. Zion is going to University of North Carolina in Charlotte, majoring in. It's a perfect location for, because you got the racetrack right there. She's
oh
majoring
wow,
in mechanical engineering
wow. So she can.
with a specialty in motorsports, and she wants to engineer and design a Formula One car.
Oh, so
And
she
she,
knows
I got
exactly. She's
yo,
right there. So
that girl there, boy. I'm like, you go, girl. But she's right there in Charlotte, so she gets to see. I'm more than certain that university got a tie And that's why she picked that, because they have a tie to the racetrack.
Yeah,
So
and I guess she followed that girl, the black girl that was the first one to work on
yeah,
a team.
yeah, yes, yeah. I think she's met her before. And I've got another cousin, one of my Uncle Howard's daughter. She is a videographer in California, and she follows race cars. As a matter of fact, she was here in Atlanta at our racetrack. I didn't get a chance to see her, but that's what she does. She does the video for them. She's the one that makes it do what it do. Makes it do what it do. So,
Yeah.
but it all ties back to the music.
No, back to the music. Yep,
It
yep.
all back to the music.
And we're gonna wind down now, but that's what I really wanted to do. Talk about. And I knew when we talked about it, and this will be up there on my YouTube channel, that
Okay.
people gonna remember some of these things, because we all had the same experiences coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a good time for us. It was a lot going on. I mean, we had some ups and downs. You get your little heart broken.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like you, or you broke some hearts, and music was always a part of all those experiences you had in
Mm-hmm.
some form of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And music like that, and you know I hope some of that comes. I tell you, Bruno Mars is one of the people who sort of was bringing some of that kind of music back
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
present with some
Yeah.
of his latest albums.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope a lot of other people do that,
Yeah.
because
It's a
that
lot
was really
of young
music. And
folks. I'm not gonna all of them ain't, but how do you put this? There are some rappers that are making statements about pulling people out of the ghetto.
yeah,
Uh, that are saying, it's okay to be bougie. You
yeah,
know, because it shows the work and how hard you work and you earned everything that you got. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to work hard. It's okay. That's what our music said. It
yeah,
was okay to do hard work. It was okay to dream. It was okay to expand your mind. You know, we didn't have to be filthy.
right,
We had a way of saying it. You know, uh, we sang and begged to our women. She's faced the hardest times that you could imagine,
yeah.
and her eyes would fall back with tears. That who was that? That was oh Lord, I forgot who
That
that.
was well, the OJs did it, but another group
Mhm.
did it before them.
She faced the hardest
I
times,
can't
and
think of the name of the group, but yeah,
she's a
but the
lady.
OJs did a version
Hmm.
of it too. And
Hmm.
some of those girls that watching some of those old songs, what they appreciate is how men appreciated women in their
Yes,
songs, and how
yes,
they had no problem
yes.
admitting, or showing their vulnerability,
We
or
didn't
showing a
care.
woman how much they love her. You know,
Yes, you
she
left
used to
the
be
baby.
my girl, and
Yes, sir.
you
I
know.
saw your face down the street, and I said, "Woo,
and
yeah,
and the Delphonics let you have it.
yes, yes." The
I don't know
satellite,
what to say, but la 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 means I love you.
yes, sir. And I saw her walking down the street, and I thought it
Yeah,
was you. That's how we used to do. We used to. They won't just hoes and bitches, and I'm gonna put my dick in your mouth like a
yeah,
toothbrush. What? There's a song that actually says that, and I go, "Oh my god!"
yeah. And you didn't actually have to say it. The implication of some of the songs,
We
everything else came behind it, but it made whatever happened. It made it a beautiful thing,
That's
you
right.
know,
It
and
wasn't
and
vulgar.
and the pure respect for
Mm-hmm.
for the women that you should have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see a difference in the women's attitude, because they're not hearing that kind of thing from the guys
Right.
anymore.
Right. And they don't expect, the young girls today get shocked when you open a door for them.
Yeah,
You go in a store and you wait for them to come through, and they almost get offended. I can look my
Yeah,
own door, baby. My mama would get up out her grave and come and smack me if she saw me walk through a door in front of you before you got here. I said, that's just my teachings. I was
yeah,
taught to be a gentleman. That's what a gentleman was. That's why I love Barack. He was a ladies' man. That man was smooth as silk. And the women appreciate it. He brought it back. As my daughter said, she was looking for a man that was Barackable.
yeah.
She,
Look, I was looking at Moses saying it's been a blessing walking down memory lane with the both
mhm.
of you. I felt like I was sitting with you, and wish I could have been there. And well, Moses, one of these times we'll do one and have you a part of the conversation. How
Yeah,
about that? And
yeah.
we can get your perspective of
Moses is down here with
growing
me.
up. He's down there where you are.
Yeah, I run into him. I'll be at a banquet or something, look over, and he and Joanne be racing right up in there, boy. I said, Portsmouth in the house.
Yeah, yeah. Forcing fall down there, where
Yeah,
the opportunity was. But
yeah.
we'll work out something and bring on Moses and maybe
Mhm.
some other people and talk about some other things.
Yeah.
One thing I know about the people that have grew up in Portsmouth and living elsewhere, they still keep up. I know you do because if you see something, you call me and say, "Hey, what's going on with the city council?" That I'm getting the news here in Georgia.
Yeah, yeah, people stopping me. Hey, that's your
Yeah.
fault. Hey, ain't that where you from? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sometimes I
So
hang my head. That yes
yeah.
indeed.
So we really have a lot to talk about going into 2024
That's
with the
election year,
presidential election, and then we got the mayor seat is up and three council seats. So
baby.
it'll be it'll be an interesting year this year.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
where we're gonna go. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
it's always something good to talk about.
yeah, and
So
that's
as
why.
we end, do you have any last comments you say before? We went longer than I usually go, but sometimes when the conversation, the flow is like this, you just chime, and that's why it's good for me to have my own.
Yeah,
Now I don't have to say, "Hey, we got to
yeah.
stop."
This, Slim, I really appreciate you inviting me on here, and I truly enjoy it. Um, it is so important, and as we were saying, because of our music,
Hmm.
because of our past, we became who we are today. It
Hmm.
is we have to get these kids to understand that you don't have to take your clothes off.
Right.
You have to be
Uh,
vulgar.
That's a song.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to do that to be appreciated. Just
Hmm.
stand tall, What the song say, just stand up and stand tall. And
Yeah, and all that will come, and but it will mean a lot more.
that's right. That's right. When you work hard and earn it,
Yeah.
I can remember the song that Channel 13 used to play when there's work for my hands and I got things. You remember at the end of the day when TV went off, how could I ask for more? Was the
Yeah.
song they
Oh
played.
yeah, yeah. That
And it
I
was
think didn't the Norcom Choir used to sing that?
they did. They
Yeah.
did. They did. We talked them into doing that. Who's choir director? Mr. Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Lewis had them singing that piece, baby, and that song spoke volumes on how could you, as that worked in the song in my heart and work for my hands,
Hmm.
and life is good. Life is good. Life can be short, but life is good. You've got to appreciate it, and music used to help us to do it in
Yeah.
all the
Indeed.
genres of music that was out there. It
And,
didn't tear us down. It didn't make us want to fight. It made us want to. If the fight that it put in us was the fight to go forward. The
yeah.
fight that was in it was the fight to rise above all that was around there. The fight that we had was to make us better people. We weren't fighting just to be fighting. and we had a purpose, and we enjoyed. Our music made us enjoy. We had fun, like we said, song come on boom, you jump up and dance. But
Yeah,
this has been great. I hope that one day
yeah.
we can do this again, man.
Oh, we definitely will. After we did the first time, I knew, we were going to do some things again and probably invite some other people on there with us.
Yeah.
And I see Michael Freeman. Shout out to Michael Freeman.
Hey,
All these
Mike,
Mount
the
Herman
Herman
people,
guy. Yeah.
Mount Herman people tuning in. Where are my trucks and people at? Well, anyway, I guess I guess I have to bring Chester B on here in order for the
Yeah,
trucks and people to show up.
that's right.
But anyway, and the last thing, comically, Richard Pryor, you talk about words to music. Richard Pryor had this set where he would use a Stevie Wonder song, and he was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be giving a speech.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Hard Time, Mississippi,
Mississippi.
just to move on, and it was the words to Stevie Wonder's song, but he was
Yes,
giving a speech,
mm-hmm.
and he was using the words which would fit with whatever he was talking about. So that's only to prove that the words meant so much in those
They
music in
did.
those songs.
They
But
did.
let's not get on another round of talking about the music. But thanks again, Wes. I appreciate you. And
Thank you.
again, rest in heavenly peace, our brother,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Owen Willis.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna miss you, brother, but we're gonna always keep your name on our mouths and
Mm-hmm.
uh, your memory in our hearts. We
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. We'll see you
All
next
right.
time, Wes.
All right, Doc. Appreciate you.